I think it's pretty clear at this point that regardless of if you think he did a big deal or whatever, considering both the circumstances under which Comey was fired and him openly admitting it, he should be impeached. It should be done. And I know some people will say, well, that will result in an even worse thing because then Pence will become president. And that may well be true, but you don't decide whether to impeach a president based on whether politically it might or might not benefit you. You do it if they've committed the crimes that necessitate impeachment, and I believe that he has in this case. I think the only reason that more people aren't calling for that is because Donald Trump has so radically shifted our expectations of what's normal and acceptable in government that, I don't know, we feel awkward about talking about it, but you cannot eliminate an investigation like this. And I know some people, even watching the show right now, will say, you know what, I don't think that this Russia thing is so serious. I don't really care if they shut down this investigation. But I understand that even you, there's other things you're worried about, that there could be corruption in the White House, all sorts of things like that. And if you think that when he gets away with eliminating the Russia investigation effectively, that there's gonna be legitimate investigations into corruption, into dealings with foreign countries, all that. I mean, come on, you have to draw the line somewhere. And if people lay down on this, then they are saying future corruption by the White House, 100% acceptable, we will accept that.
And here's I think you make a really great point, John, and it also necessitates the need to move quickly because when he goes, assuming that Cenk is right, and I largely share that belief that he can't possibly survive 4 years. When he goes and Mike Pence comes in, for all the problems that Mike Pence has, there is Mike Pence would not behave in this manner. No one's gonna question Mike Pence's mental stability. We might disagree vehemently of every single policy, but there will be, because of our instincts to do this as human beings and as Americans, like I hear it from all my friends. Hey, it's not that bad, the Congress will step up. Ben Sasse and Jeff Flake will save us. Literally on a phone call with my best friend yesterday. Ben Sasse and Jeff Flake will save us, right? So but Mike Pence will represent the un-Trump, and that will seem like a return to normalcy, right? And that runs the enormous risk that because Pence will operate in a way that is not insane, the press secretary will say things that are largely true about the Pence policies that we hate, and Mike Pence will be put in a moderately strong position to win election and serve 6.5 years, or maybe, for crying out loud, depending on when it happens, 10 years as president of the United States, right?
Yeah.
So think about that.
Well, John.
So we just real quick, what we need is to get to this part where we accept the normalcy of Mike Pence and then get beyond it to show the radicalism of Mike Pence if we're gonna have any effort to win this thing back.
The other point that I want to speak to what you said, and this is why Trump does this, no one stopped him up until now. You know what I mean? Like when you say that there are people watching who say that the Russia investigation doesn't matter. Remember, this is the guy who said, I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and my supporters will let it go. So far, that's been proven true. He had, like with all the things he's done, every time we've been outraged or he's just ignored the Constitution or whatever else, he's gotten away with it. Yeah. Maybe the policy didn't go through, but there was no backlash against him. So this, as much as ridiculous as it sounds, his followers could just back, you know what I mean? Like there could be no penalty for this. Then they put in some clown to run the FBI, who him and Sessions completely control, and the investigation goes away. And there's still that big following that's like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, and look, I think you're already right. You may not have seen the poll, but you're totally right. This is yet another one of the issues where polls show the firing of Comey, his supporters don't care. They largely are not bothered by it, mostly don't think it's unacceptable. The numbers are a little bit closer than on some other things. And so some people very often on any of these issues, they'll say, this isn't something you can convince Donald Trump voters on, so why are you wasting your time on? You can't win an election on this, so why are you wasting your time? Because the commentary we do, our jobs, is not just about political partisan bullshit. It's about what's right and what's true, and making sure that as many people as possible understand that. What wins an election is great, and we'll get to that, but at some point, you have to have values, you have to stand by them, and you cannot stand by as this sort of corruption and obstruction of justice is taking place in the White House.
Don't worry about the guys who are saying that. The guys who have said all along that there's no Russia thing and it's hyperventilating, some who work here, right? You're 100% wrong and you're gonna be proven wrong. And so, sad day for you. I don't even want to discuss it anymore.
And there's some of what I think inspires those people is makes some sense, which is, and it's another reason to hurry. So let's get this, let's get beyond it, so that come 2018, they're right. that the only thing Democrats are talking about is Russia, that would be a mistake. Right there.
Oh, definitely.
That's critical.
Yeah.
And so the notion that we need to get beyond that so we start talking about things that matter and affect people's lives. But that said, this has to be gotten beyond.
Yeah.
So why don't we turn to Jared's work?
Look, there's the people who hate Hillary Clinton, and Hillary's team hates me because you worked against her. Yeah, I liked another candidate better. Deal with it. Sad day for you. And it turns out I was right because you fucking lost the election to this idiot, right? Okay, so. But to the people who like it's personal, whatever it is, right? Like, there's still, look, Hillary's gone. She's in the fucking woods. She's in the fucking woods, and she's not gonna come out, right? But like the people who hate Hillary so much and that whole thing, they're like, she lost the election. It's her fault. So it's not Comey, it's not Russia. Comey's bullshit, Russia's bullshit. Everything else is bullshit. It is such an obvious logical fallacy, so obvious. I get it, you don't like Hillary Clinton and you don't like her making excuses. I don't like her making excuses either. She lost the election because of Hillary Clinton. Why are we having this conversation? Who's responsible for Hillary Clinton losing? This is a question? I don't even want to do a poll on it. Hillary Clinton, that's who's responsible. But that doesn't mean that Trump didn't do a deal with Russia. And you calling that hyperventilating is bullshit. It's totally bullshit. So, okay, fine. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I am so fucking positive that I'm right. As usual, we'll let time decide, man. I told you ahead of time and then I'm proven right, 98% of the time? He fucking did a deal with the Russians, like fucking money. You give me money, I give you this. That's the kind of deal he did with the Russians.
You have yourself at 98%?
I got it about 98.
Now, mind you, that's a poll of 1.
Yeah, that's right. I want a forensic analysis of that poll.
Look, he's got the money at Deutsche Bank, the same account the Russians have. The Russians buy his houses at overinflated prices. Dumbass Eric Trump says, yeah, all the money for the golf courses came from the Russians. The Russian Alpha Bank is connecting to Trump's server in the middle of Pennsylvania. They're all fucking coincidences. Don't hyperventilate. Are you look? The people saying, I know them, and they're not stupid. They're really, really smart. But they got blinders on. Here, I'll tell you, like one of them, Michael Tracy. I love the guy, I hired him, right? Super smart guy, but he's like this on Russia. I don't see it. You can show me 1,000 pieces of evidence and I'll go, oh no, hyperventilating. Okay, dude, all right, man. Fine, we'll show you the fucking check one day, okay? And on the way, when Trump is being let out in handcuffs, then you can hyperventilate.
I don't know how tough Jennifer Rubin from the Washington Post has been on Trump throughout, because I don't read her regularly, but she's their conservative blogger, and she is conservative. Today, this Republican Party identification has begun requiring intellectual vacuity. One has to be free from shame to agree it's no big deal when Trump confesses he fired FBI Director James Comey because he decided Russian interference in the election was just a made-up story. A slew of FBI agents is now investigating this made-up story. The entire intelligence community verifies it. Members of both parties acknowledge it occurred. To go along with such utterances means condoning Trump's inability to accept reality. Russia did in fact meddle, and refusing to concede that pressuring and then firing the FBI director must be impeachable, if not criminal conduct. This mindset forces Trump defenders to say daft things such as Trump has the right to fire Comey, so what's the problem? Democrats didn't like Comey anyway. It doesn't matter that he gave a pretextual answer for the firing. She's had it, and she's had it in a specific way. She rips every single important Republican in this for not stepping up. These are the first signs, because that's what this ultimately requires. It's what required it with Nixon. It was different because there was another party in power, but the moment that when Barry Goldwater went to Nixon and said, you don't have the votes, you don't have my vote.
Yeah, the Republicans will pull away from him. They will, because once the evidence is out, what are they gonna be like? Oh, no, I support the president's ability to make a couple $100 million for himself by betraying the country. No problem. They can't fucking say that. Of course they're gonna back away. And then when they cut Trump and he resigns, right? Their base is going to be super pissed.
That's right.
And in 2018, they are going to get pulverized.
Young Turks membership creates independent media.
Believe me.
No ads.
Believe me.
All the shows.
Believe me.
On demand.
Believe me.
Support independent media.
Believe me.
It's awesome, tremendous. You'll love it.
Believe me.
And by the end, you'll be thinking,
I'm like a smart person.
tytnetwork.com/join.